Hello everyone, and welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today's Tribute USA. We're so glad to have you here with us today. In this video, we're honoring the incredible legends who have recently left us. These remarkable individuals touched so many lives, and their legacies will live on forever. Before we begin, please support our channel by giving this video a thumbs up, subscribing, and turning on the notification bell so you don't miss our future tributes. Your support truly means a lot to us. Now, let's come together to celebrate and remember these unforgettable icons. Let's get started.
Frank Price, born on May 17, 1930, in Decatur, Illinois, was one of Hollywood's most influential executives, a man whose vision and leadership shaped both television and motion pictures for decades. From humble beginnings in the Midwest, he worked his way into the entertainment industry, starting as a writer before finding his true calling behind the scenes, where his instincts for storytelling and talent development became legendary. Price's early career began in television during the 1950s, where he quickly earned a reputation as a skilled producer and executive. He was instrumental in the rise of hit shows such as The Virginian and Ironside, proving he had a unique gift for recognizing stories that would resonate with audiences. But it was in the world of film that Price left his most indelible mark. In the late 1970s and 1980s, Frank Price became a central figure at Columbia Pictures, eventually serving as president. Under his leadership, Columbia produced some of the most iconic and enduring films of the era, including Kramer vs. Kramer 1979, which won the Academy Award for Best Picture, and Tootsie 1982, one of the most beloved comedies in Hollywood history. His ability to balance artistic integrity with commercial appeal made him a rare figure in an industry often torn between creativity and box office success. Price also briefly served as chairman of Universal Pictures, where he oversaw the early stages of what would become one of the most successful franchises in film history. Though his tenure there was not without controversy, famously resigning after disputes over the budget of Back to the Future, his influence remained undeniable. He later returned to Columbia and continued guiding major projects, cementing his reputation as a sharp, principled leader who was unafraid to make difficult decisions. The prime years of his career stretched from the 1970s through the 1990s, when he helped shepherd films that defined an era. Beyond the box office, he was known for championing writers, directors, and actors, often giving opportunities to emerging talent who would later become some of the industry's biggest names. His leadership style combined a deep respect for the creative process with a practical understanding of the business, earning him admiration throughout Hollywood. Frank Price passed away in 2025 at the age of 94. Closing a remarkable chapter in entertainment history. His death marked the loss of not just an executive, but a storyteller at heart, who understood the power of film and television to shape culture and connect people across the world. His legacy is one of bold decisions, artistic triumphs, and a steadfast belief in the magic of storytelling. From television westerns to Oscar-winning dramas, from discovering fresh voices to guiding studios through some of their greatest successes, Frank Price's contributions will never be forgotten. He was, and will always remain, a true Hollywood legend whose influence continues to echo through every story that lights up the screen. Eduardo Serra, born on October 2, 1943, in Lisbon, Portugal, became one of the most celebrated cinematographers in the world, admired for his ability to paint with light and transform cinema into visual poetry. From an early age, he was drawn to the power of images, a fascination that led him to study filmmaking in Paris, where he began developing his unique approach to cinematography. What set Serra apart was his belief that the camera was not just a tool for recording, it was a brush, a chisel, a storyteller in its own right. His career blossomed in European cinema, where he worked on artful, intimate films that showcased his sensitivity to natural light and composition. His work on The Widow of St. Pierre 2000 and Girl with a Pearl Earring 2003 earned him Academy Award nominations, establishing him as a master of tone and atmosphere. Every frame he created carried the weight of a painting, with textures, shadows, and colors that elevated the emotional truth of the story. Directors sought him out not only for his technical brilliance but for his rare ability to fuse mood with narrative. The prime of Serra's career came in the 2000s, when he was invited to bring his artistry to some of the world's most beloved franchises. His work on Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix 2007 and the two-part finale, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows 201-02011, introduced his gift to millions of fans worldwide. Through his lens, the wizarding world took on a darker, more mature tone that mirrored Harry's journey into adulthood. His imagery, mist-filled forests, haunting battlefields, and glowing moments of hope helped define the saga's emotional climax. These films solidified Serra's legacy, not just as a cinematographer, but as a storyteller whose work would live forever in the hearts of audiences. Over the decades, Serra collaborated with some of cinema's greatest directors, including Patrice Leconte and Claude Chabrol, and his influence stretched far beyond his filmography. Younger cinematographers often cited his use of natural light and his painterly sensibilities as a source of inspiration. He received honors and awards across Europe and Hollywood. But those who worked with him remembered him most for his quiet presence, his humility, and his deep respect for the craft of filmmaking. Eduardo Serra passed away in 2025 at the age of 81. Leaving behind a body of work that continues to inspire wonder and admiration. His death marked the loss of a visionary, but his images remain luminous, unforgettable. In paying tribute to him, we remember that Serra was more than a cinematographer. He was a poet of the screen, a man who showed us how light and shadow could reveal the soul of a story. His films remain his legacy, glowing reminders of the beauty and power of cinema. Eduardo Serra will forever be remembered as a legend of the art form, a master whose vision illuminated the world. Harrison Dosick, born in 1938 in Los Angeles, California, built a career that made him one of the most trusted and respected entertainment and media lawyers in Hollywood. From a young age, he was drawn to the power of stories and the business of art. After studying law and graduating with honors, he dedicated his professional life to guiding the people behind the cameras, the writers, directors, producers, and creators who fuel the entertainment industry. With sharp intellect, unwavering integrity, and a true love for the craft of storytelling, he became a cornerstone of the legal and creative communities. Dosick began practicing law in the 1960s, a time when Hollywood was undergoing seismic changes. The studio system had collapsed, independent filmmaking was on the rise, and television was exploding into homes across America. Amid this evolving landscape, Harrison became known not just as a lawyer, but as a protector of creativity. He represented production companies, studios, and artists, ensuring their work was respected, their contracts honored, and their intellectual property safeguarded. His attention to detail and his ability to navigate the complexities of media law earned him a reputation as someone who could be trusted with the most sensitive of matters. The prime of his career came in the 1980s and 1990s, when the entertainment world grew into a global powerhouse. Dosick played an important role in helping clients manage the challenges of syndication, international rights, and the rise of new media. He worked with both established legends and up-and-coming talent, treating all with the same care and respect. Beyond his legal work, he became a mentor to younger attorneys, setting a standard of professionalism and ethics that influenced the next generation of entertainment. Lawyers. Known for his warmth and humility, Dosick never sought the spotlight. Instead, he found satisfaction in watching his clients succeed, and in knowing that, behind the scenes, he had made their work possible. To those who worked with him, he was not only a lawyer, but a partner, an advisor, and a friend. Harrison Dosick passed away in 2025 at the age of 87, leaving behind a remarkable legacy in the world of entertainment law. His passing was mourned across Hollywood and beyond, with many remembering him as one of the quiet forces who helped shape modern media. His life reminds us that legends are not always the ones in front of the camera. They are also the ones who make sure the show goes on, who protect artists, and who dedicate themselves to the integrity of the craft. Harrison Dosick was such a figure. His wisdom, fairness, and love for the industry he served will continue to inspire those who follow. In his path, he was, and will always remain, a legend of Hollywood's foundation. Jerry Adler, born on February 4, 1929, in Brooklyn, New York, was a man whose career in theater and television spanned more than 7 decades, leaving behind a body of work that made him one of the most respected character actors in American entertainment. Raised in a family with theatrical roots, his uncle was famed Yiddish theater actor Jacob Adler. Jerry seemed destined for a life on stage and screen. His career began behind the curtain, working as a stage manager and later a theatrical producer. But it was his transition into acting that would ultimately define his legacy. Adler's early years in Broadway theater included work as a production stage manager on classic shows such as My Fair Lady and The Apple Tree. His deep understanding of performance and production gave him a unique sensitivity as an actor, and by the 1970s and 1980s he began to appear regularly on television and in films. His sharp timing, expressive face, and natural authenticity made him the kind of performer who could steal a scene without ever demanding attention. It was in 1999 that Jerry Adler reached the prime of his career, when he was cast as Herman Hesh Rabkin in HBO's groundbreaking series, The Sopranos. As Hesh, a former music mogul and close advisor to Tony Soprano, Adler delivered a performance full of subtlety and depth. He brought warmth, humor, and at times moral clarity to a world dominated by crime and chaos. Audiences and critics alike praised him for his layered portrayal, and he became one of the most beloved supporting characters on the show. The Sopranos cemented Adler's place in television history and introduced him to a new generation of fans. Beyond The Sopranos, Adler's work included appearances in hit shows such as The Good Wife, Rescue Me, Law and Order, and Mad About You. His film credits included roles in Manhattan Murder Mystery and Prime. Off-screen, he was known for his kindness, his professionalism, and his passion for storytelling in all its forms. Jerry Adler passed away in 2025 at the age of 95, closing a remarkable career that reflected both longevity and artistry. His death was felt deeply by fans and colleagues alike, who remembered him not just as Hesh Rabkin, but as a consummate professional who embodied the very best of what it means to be an actor. Jerry Adler's legacy is one of dedication, versatility, and quiet brilliance. He was never the loudest presence in a room, but he always made one of the biggest impacts. From the Broadway stage to the small screen, he left behind performances that will endure for generations. In remembering him, we celebrate not just a role or a career, but a life spent elevating the art of storytelling. Jerry Adler was, and will always remain, a legend of stage and screen. Don Tana, born in 1933 in Belgrade, Yugoslavia, lived a life as colorful and remarkable as the countless celebrities who would one day dine at his legendary restaurant. From humble beginnings, he carved a path that took him from war-torn Europe to Hollywood, where he would become a fixture of the entertainment and culinary worlds. His story was one of perseverance, charm, and the rare ability to bring people together under one roof. Arriving in the United States as a young man, Dan Tana first tried his hand at acting, appearing in a few films and television shows during the 1960s. But his destiny would not be confined to the screen. In 1964, he opened Dan Tana's in West Hollywood, a small Italian steakhouse with red-checkered tablecloths, dim lighting, and an old-world atmosphere that quickly became one of the most celebrated restaurants in Los Angeles. What began as a modest eatery soon became a cultural landmark. Dan's personal warmth, coupled with his old-school hospitality, set the tone for the establishment. Night after night, Hollywood's biggest stars, studio heads, athletes, and musicians packed into his restaurant. Legends like Frank Sinatra, Elizabeth Taylor, and Elton John were regulars. And it wasn't unusual to see deals being made over martinis and pasta. For decades, Don Tana's was more than just a restaurant, it was an institution, a living piece of Hollywood history where fame and family blended seamlessly. Despite his success, Tana never lost the authenticity of his European roots. He was as beloved by the waiters and chefs who worked under him as he was by the stars who adored him. His establishment thrived on tradition. The menu changed little over the years, and that consistency was part of the charm. Regulars returned again and again, not only for the food, but also for the sense of community that Dan had built. Though he spent much of his life in Los Angeles, Dan never forgot his roots. He also became known in Europe as a passionate supporter of football, serving as president of the Serbian club Red Star Belgrade for a time. Whether in sport, hospitality, or entertainment, his influence seemed to extend far beyond a single industry. Dan Tana passed away in 2025 at the age of 92. Closing the chapter on a remarkable life. His death marked the loss of not just a restaurateur, but a man whose vision created one of the most enduring gathering places in Hollywood. To this day, Dan Tana stands as a testament to his legacy, a place where laughter, storytelling, and camaraderie continue in his honor. He will be remembered as more than a businessman. Don Tana was a friend, a host, and a legend in his own right. For nearly 6 decades, he gave Los Angeles a home away from home, a place where stars and dreamers alike could gather. And though he may be gone, every toast, every shared meal, and every memory at Don Tana's ensures his spirit will live on forever. Terence Stamp, born on July 22, 1938, in Stepney, East London, was one of England's most distinguished actors, a man whose presence on screen was as unforgettable as his commanding voice. The son of a tugboat captain, Stamp grew up in humble surroundings, but his destiny lay far beyond the docks of London. Drawn to performance and the arts, he attended the Webber Douglas Academy of Dramatic Art, where he honed his craft and prepared for a career that would eventually make him an international star. His breakthrough came in 1962 with the title role in Billy Budd, a performance that earned him an Academy Award nomination and instantly marked him as one of the brightest new talents in cinema. His piercing blue eyes and natural charisma made him both a leading man and a scene stealer, able to bring depth and intensity to every role. Through the 1960s, he became one of the faces of a new generation of British actors, starring in films like The Collector 1965 and Far From the Madding Crowd 1967. He embodied the spirit of the elegant, rebellious, and magnetic. Stamp's career took a new turn in the 1970s and 1980s, when he ventured into international projects and became known to audiences worldwide as the chilling General Zod in Superman 1978 and Superman 2 1980. His portrayal of the ruthless Kryptonian villain, with the unforgettable command "kneel before Zod," secured his place in pop culture history. Even decades later, that performance remains one of the most iconic depictions of a comic book villain on film. In the 1990s, Stamp experienced a remarkable resurgence. His work in The Limey 1999, directed by Steven Soderbergh, was hailed as one of the finest performances of his career. Playing a hardened ex-con seeking justice, he delivered a role filled with grit, vulnerability, and quiet fury, earning critical acclaim and introducing him to a new generation of filmgoers. He also showcased his versatility in films like Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, 1994, where his portrayal of a transgender woman revealed his range and fearlessness as an actor. The prime of his career stretched across decades, an unusual feat. In Hollywood, whether as a young leading man, a menacing villain, or a seasoned character actor, Stamp brought gravitas and authenticity to every part. His distinctive voice also became a hallmark, later earning him roles in narration and voice work, where his deep tones carried as much weight as his physical presence on screen. Terrence Stamp passed away in 2025, at the age of 87, leaving behind a career that spanned over 6 decades and touched every corner of the cinematic world. His death marked the loss of not just an actor, but an artist whose work transcended genres and generations. In paying tribute to him, we remember a man who lived for the craft of storytelling. He was the young sailor Billy Budd, the ruthless General Zod, the tormented Wilson in The Limey, and countless more characters who left indelible marks on film history. Terrence Stamp's life reminds us that true legends never fade. They live on in their art, their performances, and the memories they gift to audiences forever. He was, and always will be, a towering figure in cinema. Michael Sloan, born in 1946 in New York City, built a life and career around storytelling that thrilled, inspired, and captivated audiences across generations. From his earliest years, he had a love for narrative, whether it was in the pages of a book or on the screen. That passion eventually led him into the world of television and film, where his sharp instincts and creative imagination would make him one of the most respected writer-producers of his era. Sloan's career began in the 1970s, when he worked on various television series, learning the rhythms of the industry and sharpening his voice as a writer. But it was in the 1980s that he made his most lasting mark, co-creating the hit television series The Equalizer. The show, starring Edward Woodward as Robert McCall, a former intelligence officer turned vigilante for hire, became an instant classic. Dark, stylish, and morally complex, it stood out in the crowded field of network television and helped define Sloan's reputation as a writer who could blend action with humanity, suspense with substance. The Equalizer not only earned critical acclaim but also built a loyal fan base that would span decades. Its influence carried forward into the 21st century, when the franchise was reborn in films starring Denzel Washington and later as a hit CBS reboot with Queen Latifah. At the heart of all of these adaptations lays Sloan's original vision, the story of justice, redemption, and the fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. Beyond The Equalizer, Sloan worked on numerous other projects, including writing and producing for popular series like Kung Fu, The Legend Continues, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and BJ and the Bear. He also ventured into novels, publishing thrillers that carried the same edge and atmosphere as his television work. His ability to adapt stories across mediums showed the breadth of his talent and his deep understanding of what makes a narrative compelling. In his prime during the 1980s and 1990s, Sloan became known not just for his creative vision, but also for his professionalism and collaborative spirit. Colleagues admired his work ethic, his generosity, and his ability to bring out the best in those around him. To many, he was not only a creator, but a mentor and a guiding force. Michael Sloan passed away in 2024 at the age of 78. Leaving behind a legacy that continues to live on every time someone watches an episode of The Equalizer or reads one of his novels. His death was felt deeply in Hollywood and by fans around the world who grew up on the stories he crafted. As we remember him, we celebrate not only the man, but the worlds he gave us. Michael Sloan's work reminded us that one person can make a difference, that justice is worth fighting for, and that great storytelling never fades. His legacy will endure on screens and in pages for generations to come, a testament to a master craftsman and a true legend of television.